Very important to understand this point. Niyyah in this sense is used in two senses by the scholars. In one sense, when he's speaking about to divide the ibadah from the mundane matters, and that's the primary usage of the thing in the books of the fuqaha. And the second, to distinguish an action that is performed for the sake of Allah from an act done for the sake of Allah and others, or for something other than the sake of Allah altogether. So you have three classifications: something that's done for the sake of Allah, something that's done like you go to make jihad, or you go to do jihad, but you have in mind, I will also get something out of this, because I will get some booty from the thing. So, the two things come in. Then the third thing, that is something that's done without even thinking about Allah, you're doing it just simply for yourself. So all of your actions, no matter what they may seem, that you have to see in them what is the intention that is underlying it. That this is my responsibility, your responsibility, our responsibility, to understand when you do something, whatever you do, whatever it is that you do, why are you what you're doing? This, when we talk about taqwa or consciousness of Allah or awareness of Allah, this is the step on the way to that. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know why you're doing it, if you have not informed the intention, then the whole chain of events that you set into action is flawed. Because you were not conscious in the very beginning of what you were doing. But consciousness or taqwa precedes everything in terms of all of your transactions in this world. If you don't have this, if you don't have the taqwa, then you don't have the awareness of Allah. If you don't have the awareness of Allah, then you don't come to making, I'm going to do this for this reason. What is the reason that I'm doing this for? You don't know why you're doing it, so you're doing things, and that's why when we look at the world, and we see the world how it is, and we see all of these unintended all unintended things that result from it, it is a case of mass unconsciousness. What we see in the world mainly is mass unconsciousness. Nobody has any idea of what they're doing, really don't know what they're doing. Or they're motivated entirely for the dunya. Very few people are motivated to do things for Allah and for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the reality of the situation. And when people say, well, why is the world the way it is? Well, that's why the world is the way it is. Because the people who do it, that's us, we're not thinking about what we're doing. We're not aware of Allah. We don't develop this thing inside of ourselves to examine our actions. We're not in the habit of examining our actions. So our actions proceed from unconsciousness, and all the results that come from it, one after the other, the unintended results of it, this is what we see in the mayhem and the murder and everything else in the world. These are the unintended result of people who don't have any idea of what they're doing and are just shooting ducks in the dark, basically. So then you have, what do the Arifun, what do the Gnostics think about this whole subject? This is what the fuqaha are mainly trying to decide, which actions are we talking about here? That's what the first part we're trying to say. So we're talking about actions only that do, like I'm going to make salat now, I'm going to pray salat now, okay? I'm going to go make wudu now, I'm going to do this thing, okay, I have to have a niyyah to do that. Before we begin our prayer, we say, what salat are we praying? How many rakat are we praying? This is we can see this in our worship. Now the question that they're having among themselves, the scholars, does that cover just those kind of things, or does it cover everything? Does it cover everything? This is just something about religion that that when you do these things, like now I'm going to walk out of the masjid, I'm going to be sure I'm going to put the right foot first, because when you walk out of the masjid you put the right. So I'm doing these things, this is my intention of doing. Or is it everything that I do? All things that I do, whatever I'm doing, I have to know, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my intention in doing it? Who am I doing this for? What am I doing it for? This turn life into a whole other way of being, an act of a life of consciousness, or a life of taqwa, than a life of ghafla. This is the choice between us: a life of ghafla or a life of taqwa. Your choice. So the Gnostics, the Arifun, they talk about it, and what they're saying. They say, according to the Salaf, Salih, our pious ancestors, when they use the term niyyah, so that's in the Quran, in the speech of the Prophet ﷺ, in this speech of the Salaf and these people, the term niyyah or intention is synonymous with the term irada. Yani, what is the desire? And the related terms like ibtigha. And these texts return to the usage. There's so many we can't even say them all, but among you there are those who desire the dunya, and among those are those who desire the akhirah. It's true. And those among you who desire the profit of the dunya, but Allah wants for you profit in the next world. So whoever desires the harvest of the dunya, and whoever desires the immediate gratification of the world, we hasten to him. We wish you to understand that you are missing the point here. That if you don't clarify your mind and clarify your intentions as to what you're doing, you will come to a very poor end, and which we'll refer to at the very end of your life. You will see, you will spend your whole life, and then you will be standing in front of Allah, and you'll have nothing. Like somebody who thinks they're putting money in the bank all the time, and they go to the bank and they said, let me see, I'd like to get my account, and the guy tell you, you have nothing in your account. Nothing. And you've spent your entire life, and you have nothing. This is how stark, how important this whole thing is in terms of really understanding. This is not some hypothetical thing. This is what you are going to get at the end of the day, at the end of your, like the man who with the wages, at the end of the thing, what are your wages? He said, I don't have anything for you because you didn't give anything. And the same man who did the same things, but he did it by the intention, will find his reward awaiting for him. And the one who did it without the intention will find his reward awaiting for him. And the one who had the intention for the dunya will, as the Shaykh Muhammad always tell us, he will have the rewards of the dunya. That's the rewards that he got, but other rewards he won't have. So this is very, very crucial, because again, remember what the Prophet ﷺ telling us, what is this life of this world? How long are you in this world? It's only like you're sitting underneath a tree. You've been walking someplace. You sit down underneath the tree like this for a while, and then you get up and go. That's the length of this life. That's as long as this life lasts. There's no more to it than that. It's just a temporary thing. That's what it is. And if you fool yourself, if you think that, the things that you do for other people, that, that you want them to say, oh, wow, look at that, look at him, or look at this, or like the person, again, we'll talk more about that, the person says, he tried to fool you, said, oh, we're going to collect money to build the masjid. Or the man said, oh, the first bidding go up $50,000. He puts his hands up, $50,000. Who has $50,000? He has $50,000. But why he has $50,000? Because he wants us to know that he has $50,000. He didn't care about the masjid. He cared about us knowing the $50,000 he's going to pay. So he spends his $50,000, but at the end of the thing, when he stands in front of Allah, and he says to Allah, hey, but I spent $50,000 in the masjid. And Allah says to him, no, you spent that so that the people would say, oh, you spent $50,000 on the masjid. That was your intention. Your intention wasn't to put the money for the masjid. Your intention was for what? So that the people would see you. This is how it works. So Imam Ahmed and Nasa'i said that the Prophet ﷺ said, like for instance, whoever takes part in a military campaign in the cause of Allah, and he was only after the booty, that's all he's going to get for it. And Imam Ahmed said most of the martyrs, this other hadith he recounts, most of the martyrs of my community shall actually die in their beds, ashab al-furush. But many men who are killed in the battle, whose intention is only known to Allah, they won't even be martyrs. Because why did they go for the battle? So here you find this man, he's dying in his bed. He's actually a shaheed. And this man dying in the field of battle, but he's not a shaheed. Why? Because of his intention, because his action is what? What did Umar say, the report? His action is by his intention. And his intention was not for that. His intention was to go to get what he could get out of the thing, and like that. So that's what he got. He got nothing. He got nothing. That's nothing. That's what he got. So this is the thing of that. So the importance of having a good niyyah and its centrality to Islam is among the most difficult things to achieve. This is not a simple thing. Sufyan al-Thawri said, nothing is more difficult for me to treat than my intention, for it always turns back itself upon me. And Yusuf bin Asbad said, purifying one's intention from corruption is more difficult for a person than ijtihad. Purifying one's intention from corruption. So what? Mean an act that is not done sincerely for Allah. What are those acts? And he says, oh, then there's one that is done for riyah. Yani that the people might see you and what you do. This is the motivation of the hypocrites, the munafiqeen. Like they want to be seen. أَرَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدْعُ يَتِيمٍ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. They want to be seen. They want people see them. Oh, look at him, this pious one, that pious one, this one like that. But why? Only he do it. Only she do it to show off. So nothing, no reward for their action. Because their action was only intention was that. So, and other times there's other actions which are partially for the sake of Allah and partially to display oneself. And the desire to display oneself goes at the beginning of the action, then the action is in vain. Imam Ahmed said that the Prophet ﷺ said, when Allah gathers the first of His creation and the last of His creation for that day, when there is no doubt a crier will call out, whoever associated with me another in his actions, let him seek the reward for the one other than me. For Allah is independent of all associations. So this is how important this subject is. In other words, what you're going to get is what you do in this world, but not by actually what you do, but by what you intended to do. Not the action may be this, it may be that, Allahu Alam, but what did you intend to do by what you did? This is where the sincerity comes in. If you're praying, who are you praying for? For Allah? Or somebody say, oh, look at him, he's praying. Or even to confuse yourself, even to convince yourself that you're a pious person and that you're doing these things. Only to fool yourself in the end of the day. And then Allah says in Surah Qaf, He says, shall I tell you who will be the greatest losers in the actions? Those whose efforts have been wasted in this worldly life when they thought they were doing good. They thought that they were doing good. They're the greatest losers. So this is what we want to, why this whole subject is of the utmost importance. Because if we don't get a hold of this, get a hold of it right from the very beginning, why are we doing what we're doing? What is the reason for doing what we're doing? Like everybody got up here and come here this way. Why did you come here? Why am I sitting here? Why is he sitting here? Why are any of us here? What is the reason? And nobody can know, you can't know what's in my heart. Prophet ﷺ, don't judging people because he can't see. Nobody can see what's in the heart of the other. Nobody knows except you. You and I, you know, and that you know in the degree that you have taqwa of Allah, meaning what? That you're practicing ihsan, the central core of tasawwuf, which is to worship Allah as though you saw Him, knowing if you do not see Him, He sees you. To know that Allah sees you no matter what you do, that there's no place to run, no place to go, no place to hide, no place to get away from it. There's nothing like that because Allah knows everything. So our job is to refine and define our intentions and purify our intentions, because that is what in the end of the thing is what is going to be what we receive. That will be the result of our life on this earth, is in accord to the purity of our intention of what we're going to do for this world. The same thing, you came here, I came here, but why did you come here? But why did I come here? But why did he come here? What reason? He drove all this way, he drove like so many hours from his city, and then he stopped and he drove again like this. Or why was he driving all those hours? For what reason? What was his intention?